and my name is Chen Yingru. Today I'm giving an overview of my research and assessment of service operation for International Maritime Express, and my supervisor is Shu Ha. And my presentation includes 5 main points. And firstly, I'll giving some introduction about my research, and then I'll talk about the literature review, and the third part is methodology. And next, I'll talk about the result and discussion, and final part is conclusion. Okay, let's move on to the introduction. And in this part, I have 3 main points: general background information, research motivation, and research purpose. And the rapid development of cross-border e-commerce has changed consumers' consumption patterns. And in the past, we usually buy the goods in the traditional store, but now we can shop online. So to deliver the goods to the customer, the support from international logistics companies is necessary. And Taiwan is an island surrounded by the sea, so our economy heavily relies on the international trade. And the air transport is the main way for trade between Taiwan and China, but there are some limitations, such as the lack of storage and the high charges. So our government set up a special zone for Maritime Express to solve this transportation problem. And this is the International Maritime Express operation process, and for short we call it IME. When the cargo owners wants to send the goods to the consignee, they must find the forwarder first. Then the forwarder will look for the IME which provided the most competitive service. And in this picture, we can see the IME included the customer and the carrier, and they provide the necessary works to transport the cargo to consignee. And based on the service quality, the service provider needs to satisfy the customer's needs, and we consider forwarder as a customer and IME as service provider. And in research motivation, Maritime Express is an emerging concept. There's a few research on it, and most of the relevant researchers focus on shippers, discussing the consideration for choosing a suitable company. And the study will focus on, we identify which attribute is the most important and which operation needs to be improved. And my study includes 4 research proposals. Firstly, we will evaluate the service requirement attribute weight of any customer, and for short we call it SRA. And we use body HP to weight these attributes. Then we will evaluate the service operation attribute weight of the IME provider, and for short we call it SOA. And we base on the SOP from IME, and we make some expert to create the SOA and weight them. Then we use quality function deployment to convert the SRA of the customer to the SOA of the provider. And finally, we take Thai report as an example and give them some information or improvement policy. And let's move on to the literature review. In this part, I have 4 main points about short-sea shipping, introduction of IME, and the research on express delivery industry, and the final one is quality function deployment. And let me introduce what SSS is. Short-sea shipping, and for short we call it SSS, is developed from the European Union, and which involves the transportation of cargo between ports in the European Union. And the main goal is to avoid crowded land transportation and reduce the environmental impact of cargo transportation, and to connect the sea highways of European countries and make SSS develop better. The European Union put forward a new concept in motorways of seas. And in this picture, we can see this is the 4 routes and 4 motorways developed from Europe, including motorway of the Baltic Sea, motorway of the Sea of Western Europe, and motorway of the Sea of Southwest Europe, and the final one is motorway of the Sea of Southeast Europe. And in this route, we can see the distance between 2 countries or 2 coastlines is very close, so it's suitable to develop SSS. And in this article, IME is a special case for SSS. Let's move on to the introduction about IME. And in this picture, we can see the distance between Taiwan and China is very close. We take Taipei port as an example. From Taipei to Pingtan, it just needs 3 to 4 hours, so it's very convenient. And compared with air transport, IME is considered as a competitive way to deliver the goods to China. For example, we can deliver the goods to Pingtan first, then transshipment the air transport or land transport to the other region. And so it's very suitable for Taiwan to develop the IME business, even to develop the transshipment business. And this is an introduction about IME. And in 2015, Taiwan's first IME area started at Taipei Port East 221 Terminal and was operated by Taipei Port International Logistics Company. And the second IME area of Taipei Port was officially opened in East 121 Terminal and operated by Taiwan International Port Logistics Corporation. And in the next year, Anping Port IME area opened, operated by Anping Operation Office of Port of Kaohsiung Taiwan International Port Corporation. And in this year, Kaohsiung Port set up an IME zone and officially started operating in May. And this is the location of Taipei Port IME area. It's over here. It's East 121 Terminal and East 221 Terminal. And this is the location of Kaohsiung Port IME area. It's over here and next to the second container terminal. And it is next to the highway and airport too. So it just takes 20 minutes. So it's very convenient for Kaohsiung and to develop the IME business. But not every goods are available for IME. There are some limitations, such as the weight of each package or each bag maximum of 70 kilograms, and each package must have barcodes or labels on it to recognize and management. And the cargo are not prohibited from importation by the Customs Act. And this is a research on the express delivery industry. Firstly, we base on literature review and we collect the criteria from service demand of express delivery customer. And firstly, we create 17 criteria we can see on the table and class by 4 dimension. Okay, and this part is quality function deployment, and first we call it QFD. QFD refers to a transformation of customer needs into service technology for procedure or supervisor in each product development and manufacturing stage. And this house we call the house of quality, and for sure we call it HOQ. It's the common tool to use in the QFD. And for customer needs, here we need SRA, and the service technology, here we need SOA. And we use fuzzy HP to weigh the SRS weight and put it into the right wall of the house. Then we construct a relationship matrix to link the SRA and SOA. And we create another correlation matrix to assess the correlation among SOA. And based on the body and the correlation matrix and the SRS weight, we can finally find the SOS weight. And based on this weight, we can give the improvement policy for IME operators. And let's move on to methodology. And in this part, I have 4 main points: research framework, the SRA of IME, the SOA of IME, and the quality function deployment. And this is my research framework. And we firstly, based on the literature review and the IME feature, firstly we create the 17 SRA. But after we met the expert and revised by their practical experience, and we finally confirmed 16 SRA. And we use fuzzy HP to weight these SRA. And at the same time, we, based on literature review and the SOP of IME, we create the SOA of IME, and we use house of quality to translate the weight of SRA into the weight of SOA. So we can, based on this SOA, we can rank the most improvement. Priority. So we can give them some information to improve their operation. And this is the hierarchical structure of SRA. And in the previous one, we showed 17 SRA. But after we met the expert and the revised by their experience, so we finally confirmed 16 SRA and classified 4 dimensions about transportation capability, flight rate, the service and convenience, administrative management. And This is a research sample. We totally have 16 respondents from Taipei Port ME customer. And this is a background from the respondents. And this is the completely process of IME. You can see there is 4 members in this process, and each member has different activities or operations. But the study just focused in the IME, so we just discussed this part. And we simplify the process into this figure, and including 4 departments and 15 SOA. And let's move on to the result and discussion. In this part, I want to talk about the result from SRS weight and the results from QFD. Firstly, we use fuzzy HP to weight the SRA. And this is a result we can see in the table. And transportation capability is the most important dimension in forwarder's opinion, and the second one is service and convenience. And in the global weight, we can see TC3, TC2, and M4 are the top 3 most important SRA. And we can put this global weight information into the right side of the HOQ. And next, I want to talk about the result from QFD. And firstly, I'll talk about the relationship matrix. And the relationship matrix, the proposal of the relationship matrix is to measure the relation between the SRA and SOA. And we use this matrix to link the criteria. And the score 4 means very high relation, and the score 1 means lower relationship. And we take the score 2 as an example. It means the TC1 have the medium relation to the customer develop. And we can put this data information into the body of the house. And next, I want to talk about the correlation matrix. And the proposal of correlation matrix is to assess the correlation among SOA. And the 1.0 means the total effect, and the 0.0 is totally no effect. And we take this 0.75 as an example. It means the customer develop have the higher effect to the contract management. And we can put this data into the roof of the house. And based on the relationship matrix and the correlation matrix and the SRS weight, we can finally find the weight of SOA. And we normalize the score from the relationship matrix by this formula. And we translate the SRS weight into SOS weight by this formula. But this formula didn't consider the correlation matrix. But if we want to consider the correlation matrix, we must use this formula, and we got the weight. And we normalize again and finally found the weight of SOA. And we can, based on this weight, we can rank them. And we found the top 3 most to improve operation is work schedule and file processing and the field operation. Okay, let's move on to the conclusion. And in this part, I want to talk about the result analysis of SRA and the result analysis of SOA. And final part is recommendation for future research. Okay, so let's take an overlook of the study first. The purpose of this study is assessment of service operation for IME. And firstly, based on literature review, we create the SRA of customer first. Then we use fuzzy HP to weigh these attributes. Then we met some experts, and based on the SOP of IME, we create the SOA, and we use QFD to translate SRA weight to SOS weight, and making some improvement policy from SOS weight for IME. And finally, we take the Taiwan International Port Logistics Corporation in Taipei Port as an empirical study. We give them some information and improvement policy. And this is a result analysis from SRA. And we finally create 16 SRA. And the top 3 SRA customers care the most are no loss or damage to the goods. Goods can be delivered actually, and understanding the needs of the shipper. And this is a result analysis from SOA. We create 15 SOA and classify 4 departments. And the results show the top 3 SOA need to be improved are work schedule, file processing, and file operation. And the final part is recommendation for future research. The independence of SRA in this research was only conferred by the practical expert, and this is not rigorous in theory. Future research may consider how to improve it, such as using MP method. And the study using a time report ME as an empirical study, so it's not applicable for TPIE. And Kaohsiung Port has already begun IME operations. In the future, the scope of the research can be expanded to increase the validity of the research model. And the research object of the study is IME operator and their customers, so it does not discuss transportation operations. And generally speaking, shipping companies also have a considerable influence on the delivery maritime express cargo. So it is recommended that future research can incorporate the factor of carrier into the research model to make the research structure more complete. And this is my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Well done, your presentation quite clear. And okay, that's Dr. Su to give